Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you on this happy Monday? Which in Florida, it's kind of, I don't know if it's cool. I didn't check the temperature, but it is breezy out there.
So
There's a
it's
storm.
feeling fallish.
There's a storm somewhere. I feel like yes. So
Yes, I always loved fall, like right before that Halloween, or you may even get that cold front, and that's when it's like, oh gosh, I have to try on the kids' jeans and their floods, and that's when it's a reminder, like, need to go get the pants for the kids to make sure they fit and all that kind of fun stuff. That was always it was almost like a pre-Halloween event, and then it would get nice and warm, but it always was that reminder to make sure that kids would have jeans to put on because
right.
you never noticed it in the shorts, but it's, when it gets cold and they need pants and, they've sprouted over, the year or whatever since it was cold last. It
Right.
was always and jackets, stuff. It's the little things.
Right. For sure. For sure. So let's start with the homework drawing.
Yes.
So how many people did their homework and posted as directed? Was that only two, Heather?
I only saw two. So
Okay.
I'm curious because numbers are not fun, but there is definitely more to the homework than just the numbers.
True.
A lot of it, your strengths, your weaknesses. I think that it's that whole balance
Yep.
aspect. And a lot of people are always asking about when do they need an assistant? But that homework allows you to know what your strength is, what your weakness is. So when you're trying to find somebody to, whether it be part-time, whether it's a transactional person, where's your strengths, where are your weaknesses, and what qualities would you need to find in somebody to help that balance in your workload so that you can focus on money making activities versus some of the other stuff that maybe you're not so good at. So that's, it's a probably one of the most important homeworks that we have, just
Agreed.
from the business aspect of finding that balance, what you're good at, what you're not, what do you need to work on, and moving forward. I just think it's not the most fun
No.
homework because it's between the numbers and knowing where you're, as long as you're truthful about all that and you actually do it. I think it's very eye-opening.
That is the truth. That is the truth. So let's start with the drawing and then we'll go to homework. And the
So
winner,
this is for the $25 Amazon gift card first.
it is indeed.
Awesome.
That is Terry Ayers. So I don't
Yeah,
know if
I
you
think
agree
she was
yet,
the
Terry,
first
but
one to post. Loving the budget gift.
yep. And so then let me, for my supplemental gift, which is the ABCs of a CMA by Kelly Kellogg, that would be Julie Jones.
Yay!
Yay!
Congratulations. Check your messages on Facebook. I just want to make sure that the email you registered with is the email you would like me to send the Amazon gift card link to. So check if we're not friends, make sure you check your other messages, and I'll also email you just to make sure, to double check on that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me get rid of this little thing here, and we've got some comments in. Awesome.
Yep. So, what if we recharged ourselves as often as we charged our phones? Can you imagine that? Like that is.
It's so needed. And
Yeah.
I've noticed that just from being so busy and just making myself just, what is important to me. It could be, going to the beach and just sitting there for an hour, or just reading a book and listening to the waves. For me right now, it's, fall's coming. So it's just taking a quick drive on the parkway and watching these colors that change. Is completely different every single week. It's when we went to Dollywood, I think there was a quote, and it was like God's coloring book. And
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Watching all the leaves go. Another quote from Dollywood was, "That is summer waving goodbye." So I can't stop thinking
Oh,
about
I like
that.
that one.
Yeah, and it is, and that's right now. It's just crazy how the leaves are just floating down, and it's, to me, I need that just to refuel myself. I feel I'm always refueling everybody else, and I need to take that time for my family, and for myself.
Exactly. And it's funny. So over the weekend, I was showing houses in Palm Bay. And for those of you that are in Brevard County, you guys know our county is long and narrow. So it's I think, is it 90?
72. Well, I know there's 72 miles of beaches.
Okay. So it's 72 miles long. And our main office and I live smack dab in the middle. So when I go down to Palm Bay, it's, a 20, 25-minute drive. So I was down there with my customer, and we left Palm Bay and drove to a property in Sebastian that he wanted to look at. And then we drove back to the Palm Bay office up US 1, and where he works is kind of off US 1. And he said, this is the furthest commute I'd want to do, but this is not a bad drive every day. And I said, when I go down to Palm Bay, if I have the time and I can finagle it, I always drive back to the office going up US 1. You see the river on your right. Sometimes I'll pull off on the side of the road, and just sometimes we have these little parking lots or little parks on the side of the road, pull over, look at the water, just relax for a few minutes. So really think about how you can recharge yourself. Maybe not quite as much as we recharge our phone, but because if you're like me, it's like twice a day.
But I think even just taking that time to do something for yourself or your family, just like you recharge your phone, it's having that schedule, which that'll be, I think, is next week, delegating, scheduling that time for yourself and your family. So it could be 2 times a day. Maybe it's, 30 minutes. It's your exercise, or, I mean, it really could just be little teeny time blocking, but making sure that you are setting aside time for your mental and your health. And I think that's, a lot of what this is
Exactly.
making sure that you're adding in time for yourself and your family, or trying to create that balance.
Exactly. So, okay. So the homework for this last week was doing your business expenses and your personal expenses. And so the key to that, or the thing about that, is what Heather said, is knowing how much it costs you to live, because whatever it costs you to live, you clearly need to make more than that. So we want to make sure that we're setting our goals above that. But then our homework to get started with this was my history. So doing a business review. And some people say, oh, well, it's only October. I haven't finished this year yet. So let me just tell you what I did this morning real quick. I pulled up the MLS real quick. I saw how much I had closed, how many transactions that was, how much dollar volume that was. And then it also said how much I had pending. So I added all those numbers together to get the numbers that I'm going to use to illustrate here. But then again, I mean, this is fluid. This is always changing. You should always be reviewing your business plan. So if you pull it out for the end of the year and you close way more than you had thought, review this at the end of December. And if you need to make adjustments for 2021, then do that. So what I pulled out was let me look at this. What are these numbers? Oh my gosh. I closed so far this year 23 transactions, and I have 6 pending. So I would put under my history 29 transactions. I have a total with volume and pendings of 6.1 million. So I'm using that as my sales volume. And what I used, because I didn't want to bother our bookkeeper, is I took the 6.1 million and multiplied it by 2.5%, which I'm using as my average commission. And I came out with an average commission per transaction of $58.32. Does that make sense, everybody? So you're going to take your sales volume, and if you don't know what your gross commission is, just estimate it. So take your sales volume and multiply it by 2.5%, or whatever you think is your average commission. Maybe it's 2.75, maybe it's 2.3, whatever that is, to get what your gross commission is, and then you want to know what your, down at the bottom, you see average commission. You want to know how much commission you make generally per transaction. And then we'll later talk about how many appointments you need to make that happen. But basically, that's on the next page. So we're gonna once we go to that, we'll backtrack to the transactions, and then we'll backtrack based on some calculations we're going to do, how many listings you need, how many buyers you need, how many leads, because that's what's so amazing, how many conversations you need to have to actually reach your goal. Because for all the conversations you have, how many actually become a transaction? So it's a lot. So we need to be talking to people. We need to be reaching out to people. We need to be, whether it's at the grocery store, whether it's personal notes, phone calls, and we'll talk more about that. So then we take their history and we set our goal for 2021. And your goal should be, no matter what you did, reaching for the stars. Don't do a conservative goal. We always say make it double, but if you did 250 in gross commission in 2020, 500 may be a lofty goal, so you might not want to go that crazy. But if you did 75,000 in 2020, you definitely want to make your goal of 150,000 in gross commission for 2020.
And I think doubling is okay. I think the biggest thing is, if you set your goal for, the 150, right? And yeah, that may be double, but the problem is you're not changing much. But right. If you put that at 500, what you need to do is get in the mindset. Think of somebody who actually does that amount of volume. Look at several agents that do that kind of volume. What are they doing to be able to get that? And then you can basically tweak up what you're doing, but what are they doing? Get in that mindset. So get in the mindset of an agent who's doing that goal, that huge goal. Even if you don't hit it and you come close, that's still crazy compared to what's getting in that mindset, setting these goals for yourself to be in the mindset of that, the double or whatever it is that you want. And every market's different and everything else. But
well, and what's interesting, when I was looking at my RMLS has a great tool where you can just look at your production year to date, and it compares it to last year. And so I was year to date this year versus last year, I'm better off than I was last year. So even with COVID, even with the month of March, which was a nothing, the month of April, which was a little slow, I'm still exceeding what I did last year, which is awesome. So hopefully all of you are as well. So my goal as a sales volume is to do 10 million in 2021. With my average commission is $58.32, so that puts me at $250,000 in gross commission. So if I take the $250 in gross commission and I divide it by my $58.32, which is my average per transaction commission, I am setting a goal for myself for 43 transactions for the year of 2020. And so then you want to look at how many of those last year were listings versus buyers. Do you only want to work with listings? Do you also want to work with buyers? I try to lean towards what I call the 50-50 rule, or I'm sure I didn't make that up. The 50-50 rule, which is 50% listings and 50% buyers. And that's actually part of my listing presentation. This is funny, real quick. I noticed I'm looking at the paper rather than the camera, and I was watching a different broker down in South Florida talk about trying to remember to look at the camera. So thanks, David Searle. That went off in my brain that I should be looking at the camera. So, part of my listing presentation, when I go for a listing, is I let, or with a buyer, even with the buyer presentation, I let them know I strive for 50% buyers and 50% sellers, because for me personally, if I had 100% sellers, I wouldn't be able to focus as much time on each one of those listings as I am when I don't take as many. In addition, I think by working both sides, it gives me a good perspective of what buyers are expecting or wanting or trying to negotiate for. Whereas if I am only doing listings, I'm not in tune what's going on with the FHA buyer or the VA buyer or what might need to be repaired, because I've seen it happen with my buyers before. And I try to head all of that stuff out at the beginning. So if I am striving for half, I would do 22 listings and 21 buyers, say, But I think it's important to have a balance. Some people love the buyers. They love them. They think that's more fun. They don't really care for the listing, because that, in the industry, listings are, key, and that's what everybody says, because you're going to sell a listing, and for sure right now in this market, that is for sure. But if you're in our area, we have relocation. Relocation buyers are coming. They have to buy, so that is a guaranteed sale. So figure out how many listings and how many buyers you need to get to your goal. And then while you're thinking about it, and we've thought about this in the last two sessions we've had, what are your life goals? What are your life goals for physical? I think I've told you guys mine over and over and over again. What do you have for that, Heather? I imagine it's probably like hiking more or some what for your physical goals.
I would like to start working out. I changed a lot when I moved because I stopped eating out, because that's all I did. I can't even imagine how much money, when I would do the budget, how much money I spent eating out. That's all. But, up here, I don't know if anyone even delivers. Luckily my groceries are getting delivered. Thank goodness. I will gladly pay that $10 so I don't have to go, and, it's a half an hour drive. So I'm happily to pay a huge tip so I can, use my time more wisely, working or doing whatever. I do want to get healthier. I've lost at least 15 pounds since moving up here, but that's all based on diet, because I actually cook, which those of you who know me know I don't even know how to boil an egg, or boil water. There are a ton of fun stories, and everybody knows if I was invited anywhere, I was bringing the cups and plates and, something from the bakery, nothing that I would actually cook. But right. I cook now, and that's been a huge thing, but definitely getting out more. It's hard. The family balance is hard because, with between school and working and, getting everyone on the same page is super hard. Yep. Leo works like some funky shift. So it's trying to make my schedule so that at least, I can have some time, because, when he works 7 at night till 7 in the morning and not Monday through Friday, it's his days off or not my days off, it definitely, the balance is tough.
Yeah. So think about what your physical goals are, and then Heather kind of brought that into relational goals. What are your life goals for relational? All of this is really important to helping you have a successful business. Remember, you are the CEO of your business, so you're the one who needs to drive this and get yourself to where you want to be. That doesn't mean that you don't have people in your life to support you, or if you're with Remax Elite, you have Heather and I and Justin and Lisi and Donnell and Darlene and Peggy. We're all here to help you get to where you need to go, but you need to know what your other goals to make you have, in an interesting way, a peaceful life, so that you can grow your business and focus on your business. So what are your relational goals, or what are your spiritual goals? What are your spiritual goals? And that to me kind of goes hand in hand with taking time for myself, because that's when I do my deep spiritual thought, is when I am kind of in my zone alone. I like to drive, so when I like to just get in the car and drive if I can, and that's
I have my playlist.
Yep.
Just for me to go on the Foothills Parkway through the mountains. I can pull over and just sit down and eat my lunch and just look at, God's country. It's to me, that is, for me, that's better than going to church. It's I mean, it is just so, for me, that is a spiritual moment. It is just, it's all about me.
Yeah.
It's all about that mindset. It's just clarity. There's just something about that for me that means more than anything.
And there's so much noise out there going on. You and I have said over and over again, I don't watch the news. I don't watch the news. I try to mute as much as I can on Facebook about things that aren't helping me grow. Things that aren't helping me grow, I don't really need to pay attention to it. I don't need to get into the negative. I don't need to have arguments with my friends on Facebook because we have differing views. I will say sometimes I am just in shock that we have different views, but we do. That's what makes the world go round. And there's a reason why you're a friend with that person, even though if your political views are different. And I don't mean to get into politics here.
It's so crazy because I don't know, like before all this, like I never paid attention, never cared. It never seemed to matter for anybody else. And now it does. And it just seems crazy. And it's like, I could care less about anything. Like, I don't know, like one person has never changed my entire life. And what I love about this business is you just adjust the sales, just like COVID, you just adjust the sales. It's ever changing. It is never boring. And I mean, that's just life in general. So I don't know.
Exactly.
It blows my mind that there's so much sensitivity around everything right now. And
yeah, I think you just have to close your eyes and step away sometimes. And sometimes, you might need to say something, but for the most part, I need to step away because I just need to focus on myself, my business, my family. So, and then the last part is financial. Do you want to increase your savings this year, and by how much? And that goes back to the pages on your business expenses and your personal expenses. How much is it costing you to live? And then if you do want to increase your savings, and you made a post about this the other day, are you cutting out things that you don't want to pay for anymore? That are not beneficial, that you're not using? How many things I cut out Hulu this year because we weren't watching Hulu because there was nothing new on there for me to watch. And between Prime and Netflix and YouTube TV, I had more than enough content to watch. So what are you getting rid of so you can increase your savings? Or from your increase in sales volume, are you going to put that towards savings? Or are you going to put that towards some Botox? I mean, I don't know, whatever it is you want.
And I know we did all that, I want to say in April. It was really just as a business, on a personal level. Like I really, there was just so much unknown. It was just something that nobody knew what was going to happen. I mean, everything changed so quickly. And I mean, we just went through tooth and nail, just what do we need? Like, what do we really need? What are we actually using? What can we eliminate? What's more of like a wish, like, oh, well, I wish I had more time because I would use this more.
Right.
What are you actually using? What's helping you work smarter, not harder? What can you still do that may take an extra 5 minutes, but you're paying, $200 a month for it because it may save you 5 minutes. If you're not using that all the time, it can be something to cut out. And I'm sure a lot of people went over their expenses and what they were spending, when everything was, I mean, there was so much we just didn't know. So
Right, for sure. And it's funny because I was like texting my oldest son who lives with his dad now, are you still using this? Are you still using that? Or is it, what's this charge on my credit card? And he went through it all and he's like, I'm using this. I'm not using that. You can get rid of this. You don't have to, please don't get rid of that. So we tightened up our expenses so that I could put more towards paying down debt or savings. So how much do you want to reduce your debt by? Or do you have debt, or do you not have debt? So, I saw something interesting about, are you driving your car for you, or are you driving your car because the way it looks to other people and how that makes you feel? And is that an expense that you should be spending money on? I mean, certainly in our business, we do need to have a nice car but honestly, it just needs to be well taken care of. I mean, we have a top producer in our company, and he's I think he has a new car now, but he, Honda Accord. He's perfectly happy with his Honda Accord, and he, did an $8 million sale, which is huge for our area, in a Honda Accord. You know what I mean? I think people, as long as it's nice and it's taken care of and it's clean. So should you be spending less money on that? Should you be spending less money on that so that you can maybe invest more into your business? Or we had a speaker last week, and he was a for lack of a better word, he probably calls himself something different, but I'll just say systems coach. So he wouldn't even call himself a coach, but he's to implement systems within your business. And one of the agents asked we were talking about transaction management, and he said to her, you're worth $250 to $300 an hour. When you think about how much time you actually spend on a transaction. And one agent was like, it's not a big deal. And I said, it's not a big deal, meaning I don't spend that much time on the transaction itself. But if you really think about it and you really break it down in the way that a transaction manager does it for you, they do spend time on it. So that $250 to $350 you're spending on a transaction manager, that's really 1 hour of what your time is worth. And isn't that worth paying that to someone else to make sure that the transaction goes smoothly, that the survey is ordered on time, that the keeping up with the lender or whatever else? So like you said, when do I need an assistant? You finding those places where you do have the extra money, or that money, not even the extra money, that money will free up how many hours out of your day, or maybe not your day, maybe that, you're not checking on a transaction every single day, but how much does that free out of your week or your month? And is that worth it? It probably is. It probably is. So next page is really just, is that where we are? Where am I? I must have a different book. What book am I looking at? I'm looking at the old book. Holy mackerel. Because I like to follow along. Oh my goodness. All right, it doesn't matter. That's why I'm talking all over the place. I'm making notes because I'm like, we don't need that page anymore. And I'm like, oh, we took it out, of course. Okay.
How do you get those appointments? How do you get those leads?
Yeah.
What is all this? And that's all about your real estate conversations. And that, a lot of people have questions on what is a real estate conversation. And it's like, no, Summer's like, a lead came in. Is that a conversation? Well, I don't know. Was that a two-way? Like, yeah, you may have sent 500 emails out for your monthly newsletter. Did anyone respond? And you started a conversation. Just because you sent 500 emails out does not mean it was 500 conversations. Conversation is two-way.
Yep.
Both ways.
Exactly. So and there's so many different ways you can do it. I mean, it can be a phone call. It could be a text. It could be, look, I'm sitting at my desk and right in front of me, I have note cards. So that I am ready to write note cards every day or whenever I can. I found 2 in my purse that have stamps on them that I haven't mailed yet. So
I went to Amazon and got this. So it's, all
cool.
the different occasions. It's, they're random cards. These are so important. The note cards, it's so easy. So what I tell agents to do is, use Facebook to, work for you. Is, find these posts where, in graduation time, or, just anything that's going on in someone's life, there is a card that could be sent.
That reminds me, years ago, Jeannie Hansen, one of the agents in our office, she reads the newspaper every single day. And she may still do this. I think she does it more on Facebook and less handwritten. But she would read the newspaper every single day. And if there was somebody at like Vieira High School, which is our local high school, that did something great, whether it was a teacher or maybe a student, and whether she knew them or not, she would send them a note card. And she would say, oh my gosh, I read this article that you did this. That's super awesome, whatever. That's a great way. So now with social media, people are posting stuff all the time. That's how we, I have to say, that's how a lot of times we know what's going on with our agents in their personal lives. Sometimes somebody has somebody that passes and they don't tell us. and we figure it out on Facebook, or their dog passes or their cat passes.
What I can say though is when you send these personal note cards, please do not put your business card in that. Like that is such a pet peeve of mine. It becomes sales and not coming from the heart. Like, please don't.
Right. You're exactly right. No
generic-
business card. They know who you are. They're going to remember who you are. But what I do, and I don't know if you'll tell me this is good or not, I have the return address label. So at least the return address label is a reminder of who I am.
We'll have, it has the balloon on it, or it has your office. That's okay. I still like.
Is that okay? You think not that either?
I mean, it's much better than throwing a business card in there. I mean, it's different. For sure. Like when we go to R4 or to an event, the cards that I get, you know, the personal cards I get, like it was great meeting you. It may have a bit about our conversation. Yes, those agents will put in cards completely appropriate.
Right.
What is inappropriate is if there's a death or congratulations, don't use a branded card and don't put your business card in there. Like that to me is just completely tacky. And it almost, like for me, that would be super tacky if I got one in the mail. And I would think they were using that for business instead of it being more personal.
Right. That's true. So I have just blank note cards that I use for those types of things. And if it's somebody that I need to remind that I'm doing business, which is a different type of a note, then I use those. Yeah, for sure.
And I think Clinton, he made stickers with the REMAX stickers. Those would be fun for the business ones, for like the envelope sealer on the back. Yep. Or, you know, like the REMAX. I mean, there's so many really cool things that you could do. I need to work. I need to get with him on getting sticker. I need to remind him about that because that was pretty darn cool. All right. So so having those real estate conversations, here's just a few reminders on that. Tons of different ways. A conversation is two ways. And it's about real estate. So, you know, if you're sending them an email and you start having conversations, I mean, it just needs to be two-way, not one-way.
Correct.
You know, a lot of people are conversations today. I'm like, no, just because you sent an email to 500 people does not mean you had conversations.
Right. That's a touch. That's different. That's a touch versus a conversation.
So this is huge for both of us. I mean, we do classes on this. It's Stop Being a Secret Agent. It blows my mind just all the time. And I can say from the aspect of being admin, I know like the creative group, we probably get more than 100 requests a week to join that group, and the tech and tools and just the referral group. Like, it is crazy how many requests we get. It is even crazier how many people do not even have, you know, I know most are agents in here, they do not have anything about their business in their profile. And that is mind-blowing to me. Or
mind-blowing.
I mean, even the MLS. I know that drives you crazy when you can't get a hold of an agent because they have no information on the MLS, you know, when you have the sheets in front of you and you're out driving and you can't, you know, something doesn't work, you have no way to get a hold of them. And I mean, it's crazy because the MLS, I mean, that's what's going, all your information, the emails or what you're printing for your clients as you're out showing property, you know, the MLS sheets.
Well, and let me say, that online profile thing kind of goes both ways. So I get a bunch of friend requests, you know, all week long. And I don't just accept people. Now, I have 3,000 friends. I clearly don't have 3,000 friends. So I'm friends with a lot of people I've never met in my entire life. A lot of them real estate or REMAX people, which is always then fun when you go to Vegas. I was telling the story the other day, and I remember the first time I had referred a couple of deals to the Nathanson Bros down in South Florida, and we were at the hotel, and they were walking by us. So I said, "Oh my God, the Nathanson Bros!" And then they looked at me, and they're like, "Kerry Ramage," you know, and it was like hug, great to see you in person. But I get requests from people all the time, and I look at who it is. And I'm like, oh, they have 85 friends in common with me. And then I look at the 85 friends, and then I look at the person, and I'm like, what does this person even do for a living? Do they? And then I'm like, oh, this is just a weird, creepy guy. I'm not going to friend him. Why did all of my friends friend him? Just because I think people are blindly accepting. And like I said, I blindly accept a lot of people, or not blindly, but I do a little bit of research, because is there a reason why I need to accept this friendship?
I don't know. 4 years ago, I had to clean house because of so much negativity that was just on my social. I pretty much stepped away from Facebook other than what I had to do. And I moved over to my dog's Instagram account. So I get a lot of people at Vegas like, I sent you a friend request like forever ago. And I'm like, I am so sorry. But I mean, I get so many requests. There's over 1,000 people sitting there. I'm pretty much public. Whatever, it is what it is, but I don't accept friendships because of how much time I had to clean house and just get rid of the negative. It was definitely bothering me. And once again, we're in that cycle again, but I'm definitely not in that same space.
Right.
But it was super hard. So if anyone is out there that, is mad I did not accept a friend request, just know you're not alone.
So, and like Heather said, we've taught this class at the Space Coast Association of Realtors. We've taught this class. Maybe we'll get to teach it at R4 one time, because I think it's a great class, honestly. And I know they have things like it, but I think we're funny and I think we're good at this, and we do a good job at it.
It is true. It's one of my biggest pet peeves, when, especially, doing the boosh sites, and then, the biggest thing, the agents are like, where did you get that picture of me? Or only my mother calls me by that name when they see their profile on their website. And it's like, that's your profile on Mac Center. Like, I didn't touch that. Like, that has nothing to do with me. That's fed over. And, if you haven't changed your picture in 15 years, you might want to look at that. Plus, you want to make sure that you're not a secret agent. I mean, that Mac Center profile, there's so many profiles out there. If you Google yourself,
right.
And I say Google incognito, Google yourself, what profiles show up, because
right.
You need to maximize all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's free. It may take a little time, but I say it twice a year at least. I'm constantly changing. It's definitely big if you've changed, brokerage or anything like that. But you should be doing this at minimum once a year. So it's why we added it to the business plan, is you need to go through all your social platforms. I know it can be crazy, but you'd be surprised. I mean, you need to be where other consumers are. Maybe they're not on Facebook. Maybe they're on LinkedIn. I don't check LinkedIn as much because, yes, I get 100 messages a week and it's all. If anybody sends me a message on LinkedIn, I am so sorry, but it's like 99 to 1 that it's an actual real message versus spammy. But I want to make sure that my profile is completely pimped out. You need your social stuff. You need links, stuff about you. Stop being a secret agent. Go through your profiles. And that is today's homework. Is going through, and I could go to the next slide, your profiles. Go Google yourself and update your social profiles, your MLS profile. If you're with RE/MAX or another franchise, those profiles. That is your intranet. It's the extranet. It's what's out there when someone goes to like remax.com and they search for an agent. But if you Google your name plus RE/MAX, your RE/MAX profile is always number one, whether you want it there or not. So you need to make sure in your profile, it has your high resolution photo. It has a website. It has all of your social channels. It has your cell phone. You want people to be able to find you. Don't make it hard. When I'm looking for an agent in a different area, my first thing is, I do a search in the groups. I go to their profile. If I can't find your phone number or a website or anything like that, I'm going to the next person.
Well,
don't make me do research. Like I want to help you, but you got to help yourself too.
Agreed. And it's interesting. We have some agents here who are not big social media people, and they are top producers. But I will say, they always make sure that their RE/MAX profile is the way it should be. Always. I mean, we got an email a week ago from someone who he's not big on social media, but he makes sure that his online presence in those places that he is are correct.
Right, and that's where you get in. I mean, you got to think of the big sites, like them or not, like Zillow. You get a free account. I know our office profile, we have links to our website for every city search and all those keywords, and we get leads all the time and don't pay a penny. It's
Right.
just because we have completely pimped out our profile, which is
Yep.
free. And it's where the consumers are, like it or not.
Yes.
So you want to make sure, I mean, all your listings are on there, your past sales, make sure that all of that is on there. Your realtor.com, homes.com. Those are the big boys. Like, it's where the consumers are, like it or not. You need to make sure that your profile is set up, pimped out, everything else. So that is your homework of the week. I want you to post, like in the group, email, whatever you want. Post like a GIF, a meme, a screenshot of your profile, anything like that. I'm going to be checking. So that is your homework. It's our biggest pet peeve. Stop being a secret agent. This is all free, a little bit of time. Usually if you check once a year, it's going to be fine. You know, you may do a little tweaks here and there. A lot of agents like to put in the number of years. I say don't do that, because a lot
Just
of
say in business.
why does that say 15 years? It's been 26. Well, maybe you should put been in real estate since,
Yep, since 2006 or whatever it is. Correct.
Keep it.
That's a big mistake I made years ago, and then I looked at it and I was like, oh.
Right. Yeah, I get that all the time. So maybe since, this year versus 25 years, or you do 25 plus. Make it easier on yourself. Work smarter, not harder. Make sure those profiles are completely pimped out. I will be checking. So basically, maybe take a screenshot of one of your profiles. That's what I'll be doing, just to kind of show you what my Facebook looks like and the different links. If you have any questions, you know how to find us. And then next week is our final week, but that's pretty, that's where, to me, that's the exciting part, is putting everything that we've worked on together as our plan. So
exactly.
I'm excited for that part. And that's what I look at, especially this year. What can I be doing that I had planned for fourth quarter? What part of that I can be doing now when everything was closed? So that was something that I definitely looked at. So do those profiles, stop being a secret agent, post that you've done that. I'll be checking.
Yep. And remember, you're the CEO of your business. So you need to plan that business, and let's make lofty plans for ourselves.
Yes. So we'll see you guys next week. Wake up, kick ass, repeat, and we'll see you soon.